Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today as we kick off Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And I am so glad to be joined by my friends from the Pennsylvania Bankers Association and Penn Community Bank to help remind Pennsylvanians to stay alert and vigilant to protect their personal information and finances. I'm going to talk about Treasury's challenges as a large financial institution and the good work we do to combat cybersecurity threats. And then Rick and Duncan will talk about what Pennsylvanians can do to better secure their personal finances. I'm a fiscal watchdog, and at Treasury, we work day in and day out to protect the more than $160 billion in states' assets under our care. Every one of those dollars was earned by a hardworking Pennsylvania taxpayer, and we take our duty to protect it very seriously. This is the core of our culture at Treasury. As the primary financial institution for the Commonwealth, we process 25 million payments every year. Fun fact, that's 3 payments a second. As you can imagine, that makes us a major target for cyber criminals. Some of the threats we confront come from individual crimes or small groups of criminals looking to steal money. Other threats come from nation states trying to gain a strategic advantage over the United States and, in some cases, trying to devastate our national economy. It is no exaggeration to say that Treasury is thwarting cyber attacks 24/7, 365 days a year. In an average month, our cyber defenses stop more than 20 million unauthorized connection attempts. That's about 27,500 every single hour. Also, in an average month, more than 130,000 emails are sent to Treasury, and nearly a third of them are filtered by our cybersecurity tools because they're identified as phishing schemes, spam, and other malicious messages. With all that going on, it's easy to understand why every organization must realize how necessary it is to train their entire staff on how to spot a threat. We believe an educated workforce is the best defense against cyber attacks. Cybersecurity team, it's a team sport. It really is. I have to give credit to my extraordinary IT and cybersecurity staff at Treasury. We couldn't ask for a better group of people to lead the way in defending our systems. In addition to their great work, the entire Treasury staff engages wholeheartedly in these efforts to build a great cyber defense, and I'm thankful for every one of them. We have regular mandatory training sessions. Our IT team sends extremely well-done simulated phishing attacks. And of course, they have a lot of tools that probably only 2 people in this room understand, PN, who is my CIO, and Rick. So cybersecurity is a shared responsibility. We don't do it alone. Treasury is in constant communication with other state agencies and our outside business partners to strengthen and build our defenses across the Commonwealth. Pennsylvania has a long-standing tradition of local control. We like our local government agencies to be independent, but we also have a very long history of collaboration among state and local agencies. When it comes to cybersecurity, the Commonwealth provides powerful resources for our local governments, and I'm proud of the fact that Treasury plays a very active role in that. We're eager to share our knowledge and expertise with agencies across Pennsylvania. Much of this is done through our active participation in the state's Enterprise Technology Security Council and the Pennsylvania Information Sharing and Analysis Center, both of which are coordinated by Governor Shapiro's team, who we work with constantly. We're also active in the Multi-State Information Analysis Center, which is an independent, nonprofit organization that works to improve cybersecurity for state and local government organizations across the country. We know that criminals and fraudsters will never stop, and we won't either. Their schemes are getting more and more sophisticated, and we have to stay ahead of them. That takes teamwork and collaboration, and Treasury is ready to help local agencies across the state. I urge every Pennsylvanian to be aware and alert at all times, especially when communicating digitally. It only takes 1 click to compromise your personal information. We've seen fraudsters try to take advantage of unsuspecting Pennsylvanians with scams related to unemployment compensation, unclaimed property, and more. Now, I'm going to give you 2 examples. We warn Pennsylvanians about unsolicited text messages from scammers telling people they have unclaimed property. The fact is that Treasury never sends unsolicited text messages asking for personal information. And the safest way to see if you have unclaimed property is to check our website, patreasury.gov/unclaimed property. And we've warned Pennsylvanians about scammers who tried to convince them that they would receive a state grant, but first they had to submit a gift card information. This scam targeted people through phone calls and emails. Again, the scammers were impersonating the Pennsylvania Treasury, but we will never request that any payment get made with gift cards, and neither will any other legitimate government agency. We work to notify the public immediately when we become aware of scams like those. Unfortunately, it's a fact of life that the scammers aren't going to give up. But I can promise the taxpayers of Pennsylvania that I will never, ever stop working to protect your hard-earned money. My team and I will be vigilant around the clock. Thank you. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce Rick Cimakaski, Penn Community Bank's Fraud and Security Officer and a former FBI agent. Rick.
Thank you. Thank you, Treasurer Garrity, and yes. And thank you for your focused attention to this very pressing fraud matter. Your dedication to the safeguarding of Pennsylvanians and their financial interest, and your very proactive approach to addressing cybersecurity challenges and all fraud matters in general sets a very powerful example that I think all public officials nationwide should take notice of. Thank you, Duncan, and the Pennsylvania Bankers Association for your unwavering commitment at addressing the critical issues of cybersecurity and fraud prevention. Your leadership and your team in fostering the collaboration between banks and credit unions and all financial institutions across the Commonwealth helps strengthen our collective defenses against cybersecurity threats and bank frauds in general. All right, so here's the lay of the land, at least how I see it. In recent years, past 3 to 4 years, I've personally witnessed an unprecedented surge in the compromise of personally identifiable information, with data breaches occurring both through sophisticated digital and old school analog methods, things like ransomware attacks and malware intrusions and very intricate social engineering schemes, and even the old school stolen mail out of the blue mailboxes. This has all been an assault on our personal privacy. The way I look at it, to most effectively combat any criminal enterprise or any group trying to take advantage of the Commonwealth's consumers and citizens is through a three-pronged approach of deterrence and collaboration. I'll call it the Trident Cyber Fraud program. First of all, the financial services industry, us, banks and credit unions, we've got to continue to remain vigilant, use some very advanced software applications to constantly and routinely monitor accounts for anomalies while staying very creative and, as you mentioned, stay ahead of the fraudsters and be prepared to evolve as these cyber scams change and advance. We must also lead the effort to inform and educate both our team members on a very weekly basis as well as our clients about the latest and greatest internet scams. All this has to be supported by government agencies and consumer advocates, because what's new today isn't necessarily hot tomorrow. Second, law enforcement must continue to respond swiftly to reports of these crimes. Time is of the essence with these frauds. They, along with the prosecutors, need the financial resources to investigate thoroughly, prosecute aggressively, recover stolen assets when possible, and quite frankly, if possible, and discipline those that are eventually found guilty of these crimes. Lastly, Pennsylvania consumers must champion their own cybersecurity. I like the snack on your balance that the Treasurer's Office has put out, but consumers have to educate themselves on current cyber fraud tactics. They've got to practice good operational security with their social media profiles, as well as great operational security with the devices they use, their laptops, their iPads, their cellular telephones. But most importantly and crucially, it involves dedicating a little bit of time each and every day to reconciling your account balances and your transactions. I do it. We should all do it. A couple of minutes a day. I even do my retirement accounts because of the threat that exists right now. Financial institutions, banks, and credit unions play a pivotal role as advocates and resources in the fight against fraud and cybercrime. Our commitment to safeguarding customers' financial well-being extends well beyond the traditional bank services of depositing your paycheck or stopping in to apply for a mortgage. We stand at the forefront of cyber defense, leveraging very advanced technology and industry expertise to protect our community's hard-earned assets. Banks and credit unions serve as a crucial line of defense against digital threats, investing heavily in sophisticated monitoring systems and continually updating these defenses and testing them. We also see ourselves as educators, empowering communities with knowledge and tools necessary for the personal cybersecurity through workshops and through seminars and through outreach programs that we, in collaboration with law enforcement. The fight against bank fraud and cybercrime requires a coordinated effort from financial institutions, government agencies, law enforcement, and informed citizens. Again, the trident, as I mentioned earlier. As we navigate the ever-evolving landscape of digital finance, we remain committed to being partners, advocates, and resources in maintaining financial security in a very increasing complex digital world. Together with support of the organizations like PA Bankers and leaders like Treasury Garrity, we can build a more secure financial future for all Pennsylvanians. Folks, please remember, trust your bank, not the scammer on the phone. Trust law enforcement, not the fraudster you've been speaking to for days online. And trust the agencies that were established for your protection, such as the Area on Aging and the Office of AG's office for consumer protection. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Now I am very happy to introduce Duncan Campbell, President and CEO of the Pennsylvania Bankers Association.
Thank you, Treasurer. Thank you, Rick. I appreciate having the opportunity to join both of you at this very important press event. As we raise attention to cybersecurity awareness in the month of October, I'm proud to say that the financial services industry truly is the gold standard of cybersecurity. Banks have the highest level of security among critical U.S. industries and the most stringent regulatory requirements. But in our current technological world, criminals are becoming more and more sophisticated, making it more and more difficult to protect yourself from fraud and scams. Every day, thousands of people fall victim to fraudulent emails, texts, and calls from scammers pretending to be their bank. These are commonly referred to as phishing scams. Communication is designed to trick you into providing confidential information like account numbers, passwords, or PIN numbers, either online or over the phone to someone imitating a bank employee. Victims of phishing scams can lose hundreds, even thousands of dollars. The FTC estimates that consumers lost $10 billion to phishing schemes and other fraud in 2023, a 13.6% increase compared to 2022. Scammers are taking advantage of the expanded use of digital banking platforms and tricking consumers into giving up their personal and financial information. As Rick mentioned, banks are constantly working hard to protect their customers' money through a variety of safeguards. There are ways to protect yourself as well. Be sure to set strong passwords, turn on two-factor authentication, be extra cautious of suspicious links, shop securely, keep operating systems updated, and keep personal information to yourself. To make this even easier, the American Bankers Association today re-released its annual anti-phishing theme campaign, Banks Never Ask That, which helps people across America protect their bank accounts. Numerous banks are involved in this across the country and working to promote the fact that banks will never ask certain things. To stop phishing scams, just remember, banks never ask that. If you receive an email or text or phone call asking for confidential information, it's a definite red flag. It's better to be safe than sorry. End the call, delete the text, trash the email, because banks never ask that. You may be asked to verify confidential information if you call your bank, but never the other way around. If you receive an incoming call from someone claiming to be your bank, the safest thing you can do is hang up and call your bank's customer service number on the back of your debit or credit card. Consumers can visit banksneveraskthat.com for tools and tips to help them learn more about this program. There are also social media posts that they can share with their family and friends to help spread the word. Now, banks are combating, as Rick said, banks are combating cyber fraud, but also other types of fraud, such as elder fraud, romance scams, and check fraud. In coordination with the Banks Never Ask That campaign, the American Bankers Association today launched a first-of-its-kind fraud campaign, Practice Safe Checks, designed to help educate consumers on how to use checks safely, while also encouraging them to consider alternatives to checks. Despite a significant decline in consumers' use of checks, check fraud is on the rise, with criminals increasingly targeting the U.S. mail to commit their crimes. The Practice Safe Checks website, which is practicesafechecks.com, is the heart of the campaign and reminds consumers that every time they write a check, they are exposing their personal information, such as name, address, and other account number information. It encourages them to use digital banking options to send money whenever possible. In addition, the Practice Safe Checks website covers where personal information gets exposed in checks. It explains how criminals and scammers execute check fraud and offers a comprehensive Practice Safe Checks guide. While there are many threats out there as we move into a more digitally dependent world, the main takeaway is that you, as consumers, are not helpless. By working together with your bank, utilizing tools from the Treasury, as Treasurer Garrity mentioned, and the American Bankers Association, and keeping an eye on your financial information, you can protect your bank account and maintain your financial well-being. Thank you. Treasurer?
Thank you, Duncan. So remember, everybody, banks never ask that.